Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. And of course, without a doubt, I'm your host, Jon Jeune. And of course, I got to have my guy, Greg Pennamon, with me. Greg, how are we doing today, brother?
Week 6 about to start, man. It's just crazy how fast the NFL season is going. The only time that goes slow is the time when football is not going on. So, it's week 6 already. The third of the season is almost over. Third of the regular season is pretty much over. You're hopefully, in that, at least in that 2-3, 3-2 spot. If you're lucky to be enough to perform 1 and 5-0, it's definitely a great look. But hopefully now we can start moving on to the next couple weeks. It's gonna be some pretty important weeks. Every week is important, but these bye weeks starting, everything, like these are pretty important weeks.
Yeah, man. And even if you're on the other end of that spectrum, man, like if you're 0-4, or 0-5, 1-4,
yeah.
Right, like don't give up, man. Just keep going. Yeah. I know it's tough. We got a lot of injury news yesterday, right? Like Justin Jefferson placed on the injured reserve. Devon Achane was placed on the injured reserve. James Conner is placed on the injured reserve. So obviously, we talked about those injuries leading into on our recap show on Monday when we recapped what had already gone through for week 5, but it's tough, man, and we got to resist the tilt. We got to stay waters. Just cooler heads prevail here, and we're just gonna have to adjust on the fly the same way these players adjust on the fly when they're out on the field, right? It's no different for us. So we just gotta keep working, keep grinding, keep working the waiver wire, keep consuming content, whatever content you're consuming. If that's us, then great. We, obviously appreciate that. If that's somebody else, if that's something else, if you're taking a lot of information, whatever your process is, just continue to stick to that and ride that to the fantasy playoffs. Because once you get to the playoffs, man, anything can happen. Like literally anything can happen. Your team can get hot. So don't give in too early, man. Obviously, we are going to break down Thursday Night Football and then give out streams of the week, as well as break down some of these. We have a 9:30 game to break down, and we have these 1 p.m. games to break down. First, though, we have a question from Mateo. You take questions. Yes, Mateo, we do take questions. I got offered Kyren Williams for Brian Robinson and Marquise Brown. This is interesting, right? Because I've been saying I would sell Kyren Williams. I've been saying that for a while now, but I would typically sell him for players, like a Bijan Robinson. If I could package something together and get Bijan, or if I could have got a Jamar Chase a couple weeks ago before the blow up game, right? Like that would have been something I would have been willing to do. I don't know if I would do this, though. Brian Robinson obviously coming off the down game against Chicago when he was expected to have a good matchup, but he's been solid all year. And Marquise Brown has been like a very, very consistent, solid wide receiver 2 in PPR leagues that I don't know, not knowing what the rest of your roster looks like just on the surface. Like, I don't think I would make this deal.
Yeah, I think I'm with you as well. I wouldn't be running to make this deal. I don't think it was too much of more of a slight downgrade from Kyren to Robinson as far as the volume. And Hollywood Brown's Marquise Brown is not going to like upgrade your team in any way. I think from any of the
he has Brian Robinson.
He has Brian Robinson.
That's how I'm reading it. I mean, he has Brian Robinson and Marquise Brown, and is getting offered Kyren Williams.
Okay, got you.
So does that change how you view this one, Greg, then?
I think it slightly makes your team maybe a little better. I think Marquise Brown is tough to like get consistent weeks out of him. He's not even the number 1 receiver on his team in some weeks. But Barham has been getting good volume. Kyron Williams, I think they're both in that same tier for me. So yeah, I'll probably just hold off. Honestly, I don't really think this would make the team that much better.
I mean, Marquise Brown has, going back to week 2, has 4 straight games of at least 16 PPR points. He's been like very solid, and he's scored some touchdowns in there as well. But even if you take the touchdowns away, I mean, he's still got good volume. He's got 10 targets in 3 of those 4 games. The lowest target total on the season is 5, and that was in week 1. He's been no lower than 7 since. So he's been really good. He's been really solid. He's a guy that I would continue to hold on to, especially because he should probably see more volume now that James Conner's, was injured, and they're probably gonna have to get away from this run game a little bit. And then Brian Robinson, Kyron Williams, I think, if you look at, Kyron Williams, he's got the opportunity share, right? Like he's killing that. No competition really there, but a lot of his production is coming from the touchdowns, right? And so obviously those are important. But Matthew Stafford has not been scoring a lot of touchdowns, so I feel like that has to give a little bit, right? So if I were, I would hold if I were you. That's the question we'll take for now. We'll take some more questions in a bit, but let's jump into Thursday night football. Greg, we have this Thursday night matchup between the 1-4 Denver Broncos, who are traveling to Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium, to take on the 4-1 Kansas City Chiefs. This game has a 49-point total, where the Chiefs are 10.5-point favorites at home here. I am going to take the over on the 49. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos to cover the 10.5, but I will take Kansas City to win this game.
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Chiefs to cover and the Chiefs to win.
On the Kansas City side, really simple. Patrick Mahomes, QB1, Travis Kelce, tight end 1. Isaiah Pacheco, obviously we know this matchup against the Denver Broncos is a very favorable one. The Denver Broncos over the last 3 weeks allowed the most PPR points to the running back position. I think if you took that out to the season, it would still be the most. So that they're, just being consistent in that manner. How high do you think Pacheco finishes this week amongst running backs?
I think he's pretty favored to get a touchdown, I would assume, especially when they get in that red zone area. So I'm gonna, as far as ranking, thinking he's gonna get at least 15 PPR points. I'm thinking he's gonna be a top 10 running back. I'll put him maybe like at 8 or 7 for this week.
Yeah, I think that's definitely about where I have him. Projection wise, he ended up much higher than that for me. But when it comes down to who I'm going to play ahead of him, he'll probably end up, about RB 6 or 7 for me.
Yeah, he's in a great spot here.
Yeah, definitely. And then Rashee Rice, man, the wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, he's been making a little bit more noise each week. He's been the most productive wide receiver on that team. So I'm probably going to have him in the wide receiver 3 territory this week. Greg, are you on board with that, or are you just, Travis Kelce or bust in the passing game?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to really trust a Chiefs receiver, wide receiver, pass catcher, Travis Kelce all the way. I think other matchups you can find maybe a little more data on other wide receivers that are going to eat maybe in better and not better matchups. It's probably one of the best matchups you're going to get. But so I started to see that trust weekend and kind of consistently with the wide receiver. I can't really pull that trigger yet.
He's got the trust though. Right? 7. His last 3 games is 7 targets, 5 targets, 5 targets. So he's getting targeted at a pretty high clip from Patrick Mahomes. He's only a rookie, right? So
yeah,
he's got. You would have to imagine if he's getting this much work this early, that it should continue. He should
maybe after a bye week. we can talk.
Maybe after a bye week. I do like the matchup here, though.
Yeah.
And this is a high total, 49 points. In terms of the matchup, Denver allows the 14th most PPR points to the wide receiver position. So I am willing to take the shot on Rice this week, but he's definitely somebody at a minimum if he's available in leagues. He's rostered 43% of leagues, so he's already generally pretty rostered. But if you're in that 57% where he's available, I would go ahead and scoop him up and just put him on my bench for Thursday night and see what happens.
It's worth it, I think, especially on a good Chiefs team.
Most definitely. I mean, catching passes from Patty, you definitely want some exposure to that. On the Denver side, how you feel about Russell Wilson this week in this matchup? Kansas City allows the 14th most fantasy points to the quarterback position, so about middle of the pack there. Are you looking at him this week for some potential streaming value?
Yeah, I guess for the divisional game, as far as him maybe being in comeback mode, I mean, Chiefs started off really hot, especially on the perimeter to wide receivers, maybe letting up a little bit in the last couple of weeks. But I think Russell Wilson with his play this year, which hasn't been that bad, he's been pretty solid in some of his matchups this year. I think you can throw him out there in streamable category. Hoping, kind of well, not hopefully as drastic as what Sam Howell did last week, but kind of him playing from behind all game and ended up with almost 400 yards. So kind of hope that's the formula for Russell Wilson here.
Yeah, you definitely hope that's the case here. I will have him as a fringe QB1, just on the borderline, maybe somewhere between QB12 and QB14. The question is, which pass catcher are you willing to play here? I mean, Jerry Jeudy has, he obviously was dealing with a hamstring injury. He's come back, and he's been trending in the upwards direction these last couple weeks. I personally will have him ahead of Cortland Sutton this week, but do you view it the same way, Greg?
Yeah, I agree. I think the secondary for Kansas City runs through L'Jarius Sneed. Whoever he sees is really gonna, I think, see a downgrade. I think so. Sutton probably will be treated as the number one receiver. I guess we'll get that look. I think Jeudy gets a little edge in this matchup to be hopefully one to get more upside. I mean, both these guys have some type of floor, but someone's, besides Mims getting those breakout games, like no one's really put up some juice numbers for this team as far as receiver.
Yeah, definitely going to be, a situation that, we have to monitor throughout this game. Like I said, Judy's getting healthier. I do like your assessment there with L'Jarius Sneed as well. Let's move on to the running back position for the Denver Broncos. Javonte Williams practiced in full after missing last week's game with a hip injury. Sean Payton apparently said that he was very close, and had it been a playoff game, that Javonte Williams would have been out there. Jaleel McLaughlin, he has been the most, productive running back for the Denver Broncos over the last couple weeks. Obviously had a very productive game last week against the Jets. And so how do you view these running backs? Do you feel like McLaughlin has earned a role, and are you willing to play Javonte in this matchup, regardless of as long as he's active, of course, which I believe he will be?
Yeah, especially with running backs, it's very scarce. Bye weeks are here. You're going to be in spots where I think you have to. These guys are both in ranked in top 30s. I think they're in that kind of low in RB2 range for me, both of them, and I will have to be in lineups. So I think that RB2 spot will be with a lot of these guys, with Jaleel McLaughlin and Javonte Williams. I think I'd maybe lean maybe Jaleel a little bit. He's the healthier one coming off a good week, so maybe he'll get some touches. But I think they're still both in that low in RB2, high in RB3 range.
Yeah, and it seems like they like to use McLaughlin in the passing game as well. And if this game does, they are 10.5-point dogs here, right? So if this game does get to a point where they are facing some serious negative game script, maybe that leads way to McLaughlin seeing, bulk of those pass game opportunities there. And then another name I'm going to bring up, not because I'm willing to start him in this game, but because he should somebody who should be on your radar. Given the the tight end situation in fantasy. Greg Dulcich, he's was designated to return from the injured reserve, was put on there week 1 after suffering a hamstring injury. So seems like he is back at practice. He was limited yesterday. Don't know what the practice status is today. There's a possibility he could go. It's not guaranteed, but definitely a guy, again, given the tight end situation right now, that you would probably want on your roster if you are struggling at that position.
Yeah, bring them all. Bring all the tight ends. We need them all. We need the production. Last week I think it was a good week for tight ends, so we need to build off that momentum.
That just means we're not going to get one of those weeks for like another 5 weeks, Greg. So, all right, it's time for some bold predictions, aka some prop betting time. And I'll start this one today. I've got 3 things here I'm working on. I'm sorry I didn't write down the individual odds. I only have it in a parlay, so you got to take what you can. But I'm going Rashee Rice over 32.5 receiving yards. He's hit over. Let's see. He's been
Sit over that in 3 of the 5 games.
In his previous 3 games, he's been like he was at. So he's hit that in 2 of his last 3 games. In one of those games that he didn't hit it, he was exactly 32 receiving yards.
Biggest nose, man.
So I do like him to get over the 32.5 this week. Isaiah Pacheco, I think the books they know what's going on with Denver. So I think his line was like last I checked was like 77.5. I don't know if I like that so much, but I do like him to get 70. So going 70 plus rushing yards there for Isaiah Pacheco. And then given the game script, I think it's very plausible here that Russell Wilson gets over 227.5 passing yards. So I threw those 3 things together, and we get a plus 471 here. In again, what should be a nice high scoring game with some nice back and forth to it.
Yeah, that sounds nice actually. Definitely. And the games he's gotten over that 32, they've been, Chicago and Minnesota, so 2 of the worst matchups. He does it against the good matchup, so that means he should get it here. For me, I'm going going real not too bold, but I'm going to that anytime touchdown scorer. I'm just roll with the big dogs here. Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce. Give me that parlay for anytime touchdown. That's plus 237.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. I was looking at that one yesterday because if you look at, who are the most likely players to score touchdowns in this game, and my eyes immediately went to those 2 players. I mean, the Denver Broncos struggle against tight ends and they struggle against running backs. And so give me the starting running back and the starting tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. So definitely like that one there. All right, before we move on to streams of the week, we do have some more questions that popped up in the chat. So let's just, let's knock out as many of these as we can before we move on to the streams of the week. Brad McCoy asked, what 2 do I start? Lost Jefferson, so I'm in shambles. Michael Thomas versus Houston, Godwin versus Detroit, London versus Washington, Osborne versus Chicago, and Rice versus Denver.
Oh, which 2?
Yeah, which 2? Greg, I'll kick this one to you first.
Just for process of elimination, I'm really afraid of any Houston secondary. Like wide receivers against Houston secondary have been downgraded at the very least, if not shut down. So I'm afraid to start Michael Thomas. I do like Drake London's matchup a lot against Washington. Washington's been horrible against wide receivers recently, and also Drake London has been very solid over the last couple of weeks. Just been, I think that number 1 guy for this Atlanta pass catching game. So I'll probably take London, and I would probably be between Osborne or I think I'll go Osborne against Chicago.
Yeah, I am probably gonna go London. I'm with you on London. I'm with you on Michael Thomas too. I don't really want to go against Houston in their pass defense. I like Godwin though against Detroit. I think that game is potentially more high scoring than we might see on the surface. Um,
Mm.
Godwin had his best game of the season before the bye last week. Um, you know,
Mike Evans, how's his status?
I
He's
think Mike
also
Evans is
injured in
good
that
to
game.
go. I know
Word.
that played some factor in the amount of targets that Godwin saw. But my problem with Godwin really hasn't been the targets as much as it's just been
Mm.
the production that have come with the targets. He'll get like 5 or 6 targets, but he's turned that into, 30 or 40 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Last week we saw him get 100 over 100 receiving yards. So I
Yep.
do think that trend potentially continues here. So give me London and give me Godwin.
Yeah. Make sure London is in that lineup. I think he is in a good blow off right here, if anything.
Most definitely. All right, let's get. I think we could fit 2 more in here before streams of the week, and then don't worry, guys, we'll grab some more. Mike Charles, 12-team PPR. I'm 3-2. Would you trade away Ramondre, Lockett, and Terry for Justin Jefferson and McKinnon? Wide receivers would be Justin Jefferson, Puka, Waddle, Devontae, Addison, and my running backs would be Eckler, Kamara, Gibbs, Travis Kelce at tight end, and Josh Allen at quarterback.
I need to be in these leagues, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if I'd be willing to do that. McKinnon would be a piece that I think I don't know if that's like a throwaway piece to me. If you could try to get something a little bit sweeter, or even just not even take McKinnon and just free up the extra roster spot to go do something else with it. Um, I think I would do this trade at 3-2. You are not particularly in the best spot to take a hit, but assuming you are starting, you can't start more than essentially those 4 wide receivers with Puka, Waddle, Devontae, and Addison. Like, I think you're in pretty good shape there making this deal.
Yeah, he'd get Justin Jefferson too. He had Addison once. Jefferson gets off that IR, he can make that adjustment there. Yeah, and he could just start Eckler and Kamara. All rest of the season. I think Ramondre hasn't been over the last couple of weeks. I think he will bounce back this week, but over the last couple of weeks, it's been rough.
It's definitely been rough. All right, George Play one, loyal listener, so we're definitely gonna get this one in. Before we move on to the next segment, I'm 5-0. My team is Tua, CMC, K9, Cup, Olave, Goddard, and James Cook. Someone just offered me Justin Jefferson for Kenneth Walker. Is it a good trade? Okay, you're 5-0, so you are looking with an eye towards the playoffs here. I just personally don't know if I could give up a running back like Kenneth Walker, who's a high-end RB2. I mean, I don't know who else is on your bench here, but I don't know if I could do that trade. We don't know how long Jefferson's out for, so that's really what it comes down to for me. But Greg, what do you think?
It's tough because he does have James Cook and CMC could rock with those 2 RBs. But yeah, Kenneth Walker does have a lot of value. I would maybe want a healthy wide receiver right now. Maybe you probably get a healthy low end wide receiver 1 right now for Kenneth Walker, I think.
Yeah, George. I mean, depending on who's on your bench here, if you have another running back that you feel comfortable sliding into that vacated spot by Kenneth Walker, or by essentially vacated spot by James Cook, because I'm assuming James Cook's in your flex, you're moving James Cook up. You're going to have to pull someone from your bench to fill that spot in the meantime. And I don't know how deep you are running back, but if you have a plethora of running backs, like, you've got a Jerome Ford, you've got a Roshan Johnson, maybe you picked up Amari DeMarcado today, then I would feel a little bit better about doing this trade. But it really comes down to how much depth you have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to streams of the week. I'll go ahead and start this one today. My quarterback stream of the week is Desmond Ridder. 7% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Gets to go up against Washington. Over the last 3 weeks, Washington is the top matchup for opposing quarterbacks. They've allowed back-to-back games of 280 plus passing yards and at least 2 passing touchdowns. They've also allowed at least 34 rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks in each of their last 4 games. And Ridder, he can get out and boogie a little bit, just a little bit. Has 2 rushing touchdowns in his last 4 games. I think he's a high-end QB2 with some potential for QB1 upside this week.
Yeah, a big time performance towards the end of the game and all game last week. I think he builds up that momentum, gets it to his hopefully everyone else on the outside and the inside too, Kyle Pitts and John Smith. So yeah, I love the matchup though for sure.
Most definitely. Greg, where are you going with your quarterback stream of the week this week?
Yeah, I'm going back to the Sam Howell trade. Not a lot of options this week. 35% rostered going against Atlanta. The Atlanta matchup is slightly tough. I think middle of the pack and towards more of the above average defenses in the league, especially led by AJ Terrell. But he's got people on the outside that he can throw to, multiple options. And then this will be, I think, a back and forth game. I think where Sam Howell's going to be able to get some yardage. And he's been balling. Last couple weeks, 290 and 388 as far as passing the ball. So he's capable of throwing it on secondaries, whether the matchup. So yeah, I'm going back to Sam Howell.
Yeah, man, I definitely like this one. Popular stream last week, and you hit it on the money last week. I think you hit it on the money again this week too. My tight end stream of the week this week is going to be Noah Fant, 2% rostered, going up against Cincinnati. He's coming off the bye week. He had a good game last time out with 8.3 PPR points and was this close to scoring a touchdown in that game too, which would have made it an even bigger fantasy day. Now matches up with Cincinnati, who over the last 3 weeks allows the 9th most PPR points to opposing tight ends. Over the last 4 weeks, Cincinnati has allowed, on average, 7 targets to opposing tight ends and an average of 57 receiving yards to the position. This is not a floor play by any means. We are chasing the athletic upside of Noah Fant here in a game that could potentially shoot out.
Yeah, like this one. Noah Fant was, I think, a name that we were hoping would come on out of that shooting category early in the year. So there's a lot of things trending in his direction.
What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I guess I could have went boring again, going Logan Thomas, but I didn't want to give people the same name again. Give Hayden Hurst, even though Logan Thomas has a great matchup this week at the tight end position. He's only at 49%, so that number needs to go up. That's
Very
why.
cool.
Yeah. He should be out of the category. So Hayden Hurst versus Miami. Miami is a bottom 10 defense against the tight end position as well. And Hayden Hurst, I think, is a guy that can be targeted from Bryce Young and Andy Dalton, whoever it is. But Bryce Young, he's a guy that's getting targets. He's a high 7 in week 1, but the last couple of weeks, at least 3 in every game. So I think he's a guy that can get into the end zone and possibly get you that for a tight end position.
Yeah, I like that one as well, man. Hayden Hurst has been a guy that I've been trying to get to all year, but it just hasn't come through every time. But he's definitely come through for us a few times, and I like this matchup here. My defensive stream of the week, going with the Atlanta Falcons, going up against Washington. They're 23% rostered in Yahoo leagues. This is purely a process play here. They're at home. They're 2.5-point favorites. Atlanta is 5th in pressure rate. They don't get a lot of sacks, but they do generate a lot of pressure. But the Washington offense is bottom 4 in pressures that are converted to sacks. So this should be a decent day here for this Atlanta defense at home here. So yeah, they're widely available. So go out and get them if you're in need of a defense.
Yeah, no, I like that there, and somehow it's a possibility he might throw some picks as well, especially facing all that pressure. You get rushed. He's got a 4 interception game so far this season, so it's definitely possible.
Greg, what about you?
For defense, I'm going Las Vegas. Houston, last couple weeks, but I'm shifting over to Las Vegas. They got New England this week. I think it's more about that matchup. New England has been horrible, honestly, to say the least, over the last couple weeks. They're 13% rostered. And then this is the team that this D-line can get after it. They got 2 sacks against Green Bay last week, 3 interceptions on Jordan Love last week as well. And, I think just as much as Green Bay has struggled offensively, New England is in that same boat. So I think Las Vegas makes some noise in this game.
Yeah, I like this one as well for sure. All right, let's move on to some of the matchups here. And the first matchup we're going to cover, is this another London game or is this in Germany? No, we're going to Germany game.
This is another London game.
Another London game. All right, so we got the 3-2 Baltimore Ravens traveling to London to take on the 2-3 Tennessee Titans, where this game has a 40.5-point total, and the Baltimore Ravens are 3.5-point favorites as the quote-unquote road team. Greg, where are you leaning in terms of this matchup here?
It's weird calling these games, because both of these teams are now traveling. But I'm definitely hammer the under here because of that. I think they're going to be out of wax, out of sorts. Even if I was in the States, I'd be close to taking the under. I'm going to take – it's tough. I think I'm going to take Tennessee to cover and Tennessee to win. This is weird. It's a weird game on these London games. Tennessee's, I feel like, a team that's been in London more as well. And I think they kind of rely on this run game and get it done.
Yeah, I'm with you with everything but the total. I'm taking the over. I'm taking Tennessee to cover. I'm taking Tennessee to win. This just seems like the kind of game that Mike Vrabel wins when you expect him not to.
Yeah.
And they have made Lamar struggle in the past when these two teams have faced off. So, yeah, definitely one of those things that I don't feel really particularly easy picking Baltimore in this game, which then is funny because on the Tennessee side, Greg, who do you want to play?
Derrick Henry and, arguably in a tough spot, Tajay Spears, I think. As far as the receivers, you might be forced to play D-Hop. I think he's a wide receiver, a low-end wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 3, I think. So, yeah, that's really what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I got Derrick Henry as an RB2 this week with DeAndre Hopkins as, like you said, a borderline wide receiver 2, bordering on wide receiver 3. Tajay Spears, I think if it does, we do both pick the Tennessee Titans to win. If it does go that way, potentially Spears is involved. If this game goes over, Spears is probably also involved because there's probably a lot of back and forth nature to it as well. So I think you could probably get away with flexing Spears. On the Baltimore side, Lamar and Mark Andrews, they're ones at their position. Zay Flowers, a wide receiver 2.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nah, really, you can't keep going back and forth with Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Gus Edwards. I think, again, the argument of a lot of bye weeks, though. You're going to be in these spots where you might have to choose one of them. I think one of these guys is going to get some value here, though, as an RB3.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to just keep. Yeah, Justice Hill did look good last week. So, if it does ever get to the point where they view him as, the potential guy, then yeah, I'm all over Justice Hill. But if people ask me who do I play, I'm just gonna keep saying Gus Edwards, man. Honestly, I just can't help but say it until they stop giving him the ball repeatedly. So, all right, let's move on to the 1 p.m. games here. We've got the 5-0 San Francisco 49ers traveling to Cleveland to take on the 2-2 Cleveland Browns. And this game is a 38.5-point total. In this game, I will take the under. I will take San Fran to cover the 4.5. I will take San Fran to win the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. This is a trap game for San Fran. I'm letting you know. This is like coming into Cleveland after being down Dallas. But I'm gonna still take them to win. But I'm gonna take Cleveland to cover.
Well, we did get news today that Deshaun Watson may not play in this game.
That definitely doesn't help.
Does
I
that
think the
increase
line actually moved.
Cleveland's chances of covering?
I think the line actually moved to 6.5 now. So yeah, maybe I'll change. I think the Cleveland defense still gives them a lot of troubles. But I'm gonna take the San Fran to cover 4.5. Yeah.
So you taking San Fran to cover the 4.5, but you think
Yeah.
Cleveland could cover the 6.5 with
Yeah,
PJ
I
Walker.
think so. Yeah.
They say PJ Walker is going to start if Deshaun Watson can't go after DTR started last week. So definitely something to.
Yeah, he wasn't practicing today too. You're right.
Yeah. So on that note, on the Cleveland side, I really can only feel comfortable playing Amari Cooper as a wide receiver 2 and Jerome Ford as a low end RB3.
Yeah, that's it. There's really I don't think anyone should go to.
On the
even with Watson there, like I think doesn't matter.
Yeah, even if Watson was playing, it would still be this way for me.
Yeah.
On the San Fran side, Ayuk is a wide receiver 2. I think in this matchup, Cleveland's been pretty good defensively.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup.
So it's definitely a tough matchup. I mean, Kyle Shanahan is gonna find a way. They say Kyle Shanahan literally shows up to practice, or shows up for game film or for game prep and game plan installation, and basically finds the one player on the defense who he's going to mess with the entire game.
Maybe it's another George Kittle week, I think.
Yeah, it could be another Kittle week. I mean, Cleveland, they don't really give it up to anything, honestly. I mean, if they do,
they don't.
It's the tight end. They're 17th against the tight end, 23rd against quarterbacks, 25th against running backs, and 31st against wide receivers. So it's definitely a tough matchup here. But CMC obviously an RB1. I don't even know why he's not. I didn't even write him down because
you don't have to.
I don't have to, right? I don't have to. If I have to come on here to tell you to play CMC, we have bigger problems. But yeah, Ayuk going to be.
The question is he scoring a touchdown again? That's the question we ask him every week.
Yes. Deebo Samuel, how do you view him this week? Or just, I guess, how do you view him this week, and how do you view him rest of the season? Because it's been kind of a rocky road for Deebo Samuel this year.
It has. I think this is a truly selfless team. Like they don't care. This team success is over the individual success right now. So, one of the pass catchers, Ayuk, Deebo, Kittle are all gonna get their boom weeks, and most weeks I think Deebo's suffering the most. I think he's a wide receiver 3 rest of the season. I think low end wide receiver 2. But in this matchup, they are kind of all downgraded for me. The wide receivers, because Cleveland is really good on the outside.
Yeah, like we said, that they're really good on the outside, especially against wide receivers, and so it's definitely a situation where I'm going to downgrade those pieces. Deebo Samuel is the wide receiver 23 in PPR points per game on the season, so definitely not bad. Did have that big game against the Giants in was it week 3? I think it was.
Yeah, week 3. Yep.
Yeah, so that definitely help spike some of his production here, but for the most part, I do view him as like a wide receiver 3 flex option rest of the season. Obviously his role could change if God forbid there's an injury to Ayuk, then he slides out, becomes easily the team's number 1 receiver. But also if there's an injury to Christian McCaffrey, then we see his usage trend in a different direction where he
don't speak such blasphemy on CMC.
Just make sure you have Jordan Mason rostered. That's it.
That made my heartbeat jump a little bit.
Are you interested in Brock Purdy this week? I mean, seems to get it done every week, regardless of the matchup. But
yeah, he's always a safe, like high-end QB2 option. I think perfect. He's perfect for quarterback leagues. But Yeah, given what the matchups, given what the buys, you can probably give him to the streaming category.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be tough to go away from him. I mean, he's the
Yeah.
quarterback 6 on the season, tied with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
In fantasy points per game there. So
yeah, Norman Buckley out there.
Definitely, I would, like you said, high end QB2 this week in a tough matchup. I think the ecosystem is good enough to allow him to get it done. I do want to say one thing. Jerome Ford has been like a little underwhelming if you look outside the fantasy points. But I do want to add that I think I would wait until after this game. Maybe you could do it before this game. I think he's a buy candidate for me, honestly. If you look at the schedule he's got coming up, he's got Indy, Seattle, Arizona, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Denver. Gets to finish off. These are the fantasy playoffs, Greg. Chicago, Houston, and the Jets. So
yeah, no, you out of all those, you mean like maybe 9 teams, like 7 out of 8, 9 out of those are green right there. So, yeah, he's definitely by. We know the formula of this team, them and the Atlanta team, like they want to run the ball at the end of the day. So it's not like they're ever going to go away from this strategy.
Yeah, definitely agree there. All right, let's move on to this next game here. We've got the 2-3 Washington Commanders traveling to Atlanta to take on the 3-2 Atlanta Falcons. This game has a 42-point total, where the Atlanta Falcons are 2.5-point favorites. Greg, where are you going with this matchup?
I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Atlanta to cover and Atlanta to win.
I'm gonna also take the over, and I'm also gonna take Atlanta to cover and Atlanta to win. Desmond Ridder, undefeated at home, and this goes back all the way through college. I think
that's a money line right there. You gotta lock that in until he loses at home.
He hasn't lost a game at home since the man was in high school.
Crazy.
So pretty wild stat there. But that being said, he's my stream of the week. I do have him as a high-end QB2 this week. Bijan Robinson, RB1, right? I like the usage there has been good, but the production has been a little disappointing. Tired of seeing Tyler Algier split this backfield with Bijan. Just why draft a running back? What did they draft from 7?
So you can't be asking this questions with these teams, though. With this team specifically, why draft someone here and then not? No, that's what they do. This is.
Drake London, we talked about him. He's got a great matchup this week going up against Washington. How do you rank him this week amongst the wide receivers in PPR leagues?
I think he's got wide receiver 1 upside. So I'd probably rank him right, like, just because it's still an Atlanta pass catchers, like wide receiver 14, 15.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I mean, like you said, he's got wide receiver 1 upside. His production in recent weeks has been closer to like wide receiver 3. Given this matchup, he'll probably be a wide receiver 2 for me, somewhere within that, 17 to 21 range. Kyle Pitts, best game of the season last week. Are you interested?
I'm interested in both tight ends. You gotta shed light to both sides. I think here, I think they're both in the tight end 1 category. Kyle Pitts is, I'm sure, 90% rostered. So Jonathan Smith, I think, is still on that lower end. So if you just want to add Jonathan Smith to give you the same amount of production, just get him too.
Now, Sam Howell, we obviously know he's your stream of the week, so we know how you feel about him. Which pass catcher are you most excited to play him with this week?
I think Curtis Samuel. AJ Terrell's probably going to see a lot of probably matchup with Terry McLaurin. I think Curtis Samuel's got the safest floor. And did you say pass catcher or wide receiver? Because Logan
I was waiting for it because I said pass catcher. I was waiting for it.
My bad. I was thinking wide receiver. Pass catcher is Logan Thomas, without a doubt, though. Matchup is great. He's got the best matchup of all the pass catchers. So yeah, LT, and then we'll talk about those after. Yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta is the allows the second most PPR points to the tight end position over the last 3 weeks. Obviously, we saw what Logan Thomas did last week. I think this is a great spot for him as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a feeling we might talk about Logan Thomas tomorrow. Maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly. Anyway, Terry McLaurin, he is going to see AJ Terrell. Probably will have him as a wide receiver 3 because I'm a glutton for punishment. Curtis Samuel, low end flex. I'm in agreement with you there. He's not going to score a touchdown every week, but that the touches is what I think matters here in this offense that is so spread out in terms of the target shares.
Yeah, I think they're still playable. McLaurin and Samuel. Just McLaurin gets maybe like a slight downgrade.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to this next game here. We've got the 0-5 Carolina Panthers traveling to Miami to take on the 4-1 Miami Dolphins, where this game has a 48.5 point total, and the Miami Dolphins are 13.5 point favorites. In this one, I will take the under. I will take the Dolphins to cover. I will also take the Dolphins to win. We obviously talked about Devon Achane being added to the injured reserve, so we'll miss at least the next 4 games. But Greg, where are you at with this game as well?
Yeah, I'm totally agreeing with you. I think it's kind of that same kind of game how the Giants game went. They get that cover 13.5 and the under.
Yeah, no, obviously we see it the same way. On the Carolina side, who are you looking to? Adam
Thielen, man. Adam Thielen's been a beast. I'm so upset. I had him in week 1, dropped him after that week 1, like tough week 1. But after that, he's been money, man. He's been really there for whoever starting that quarterback. Just being a veteran receiver they signed him for. So he's wide receiver 2, strong wide receiver 2 for me.
Yeah, he's in wide receiver 1 territory for me this week. Miami allows the 8th most PPR points to the position, so definitely some value there. I also think you could go to a DJ Shark this week if you're desperate, if you need some upside there. Bryce Young looks like a halfway decent QB2 this week. Are you willing to play him this week against Miami?
I like Ritter over him. I like Howe over him. I like Baker over him. I think it's tough for me. It's tough. I think he can give you a QB2 week though.
2 quarterback league. Bryce Young or Gardner Minshew against Jacksonville?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Gardner, man. He's a warrior. I'm gonna go Gardner. I think yeah, I'm gonna go Gardner.
It's also a revenge game for Gardner.
Ooh. There you go. That is true. That's where you yeah, you're right.
Oh, sorry. I was like doing this thing with the games, and I was like, oh, we're talking about Gardner, which means we're talking about DJ Shark. That means it's a revenge game for DJ Shark, which is crazy, but it's not. All right. On the Miami side, Tua, QB1.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, wide receiver 1.
Yep.
Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 2.
Yep.
Raheem Mostert, do you think
he's back?
He's back, gets a bump, right, with Achane being out. So running back 1.
Yeah, I think so.
Matchup's great here. Carolina allows the 4th most PPR points to the running back position. So Mostert in a great spot here.
Yo, they traded for Chase Claypool. Yo, you heard it? Saw that?
Oh yeah,
Miami. Yeah.
Yay! I was really hoping they were just gonna call him a tight end. That was my hope.
Word.
But Mike McDaniel pretty much shut that down. Anyway, Jeff Wilson Jr., probably somebody that you want to go ahead and add along with Savon Ahmed, and shoot, maybe Chris Brooks if you're playing in deeper leagues. Like, just see which one of these guys gets to play alongside Mostert. We know Mostert obviously has the injury history as well too. So,
yep.
if there's anything we know, we kind of want a piece of this backfield.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at Jeff Wilson in every league and seeing if he's available, honestly.
Yeah. All right, let's take a little break here, get some more questions. Roberto Perez asking, would y'all accept Devontae Smith for Brees? Devontae would be my wide receiver 3 with Hurts stack. Pollard would be my RB1 with Roshan, and Javonte Williams is my RB2 with the Achane news. Can potentially trade Dallas Goedert and or Christian Watson. I'm going to say no.
Brees Lightning is, I think the wide receiver RB, running back is the more valuable position. That gives a slight edge. And Brees is, Brees Lightning, man, he's RB1. I think you can't find that like in fantasy. It's hard.
No, you cannot. He is saying he could trade Goddard or Christian Watson for a running back. I would, again, just hold on to Brees, man. Hold on to Brees. You could trade Goddard or Christian Watson for a wide receiver. How about that? Take Roshan, package him with Watson, go get you a wide receiver like a Devontae Smith. I think you could probably get something like that done if the Devontae Smith manager is really hurting for a running back. OD says, would y'all trade Tyreek Hill and James Cook for Higgins, Ken Walker, and Travis Kelce?
I wouldn't trade it. It would be really hard for me to trade Tyreek Hill.
It would be really hard to trade Tyreek Hill. Period. Very hard to trade Tyreek Hill. Like, you're talking about week-winning type weeks in your lineup, right? Like, I get it. Travis Kelce, that's great. Kenneth, like, I really see this trade as like James Cook to Kenneth Walker, right? You're getting a slight upgrade there. But then you're trading Tyreek Hill for the combination of Higgins and Kelce because you're probably weak at tight end. I honestly, go find any tight end, right? Stream tight ends. I promise you, almost every week, the combination of the tight end you stream and Tyreek Hill will outscore T. Higgins and Travis Kelce. Like, Travis Kelce might outscore them by himself. Or, I mean, Tyreek Hill might outscore them by himself.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, how we make that argument, like Kelce drafting him in the first round gives you that advantage against any other tight end. I think Tyreek Hill gives you that advantage against any other wide receiver. Now, especially with Jay Jetta out, yeah, man, you need Tyreek Hill just that more valuable.
OD is following up, or do I trade, or I could do Tyreek, Gibbs, and Tutu for Chase, JT, and Ramondre. This is a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, it's a better. Jamar Chase is in there now. So now we're talking.
Right now we're on a level. Now we're on level playing field. I know people are saying Ramondre is going to turn it around. I don't necessarily know that. So
with the better matchups, but yeah, the offense I don't think is going to get much better. The offense has been horrible,
and their issues. They start at the offensive line, and so I don't know if that situation gets much better. Tyreek Hill,
we getting JT,
chasing JT.
JT could be a league winner for him.
He could. Man,
tough,
this is tough. this right here is tough. I would be, if I had this offer, I would be thinking about it day and night. I'm gonna go.
I think I'm still gonna say no.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna go and say no. I'm a hold Tyreek. I'm still a believer in Gibbs. I still think he's gonna flash the talent that made him the 12th overall pick, and he'll by season's end we'll finish where we thought he would. Tutu is basically useless, so really not useless, but I think with Cup being back, his role is very diminished. So yeah, I'm gonna say no. T. Higgins or Ramondre in your flex. I don't think T. Higgins plays, so I'm gonna go with Ramondre.
Yeah, I don't think T. Higgins is playing either. The fracture rib is pretty serious.
T Money reacts as trade Cup for Eckler.
I think I'd do that.
Like you are trading Cooper Kupp and you're getting Austin Eckler. Yeah.
Tiebreaker is that position, man. Running backs get the tiebreaker for me.
Especially when they could put up receiver like points like Eckler can.
Yeah.
Match Cup here. And then the last question we have in the queue from Jack Gorskowski. Pick 2, D-Hop, Olave, Devontae Smith, or Ayuk? Devontae Smith and Ayuk.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
The Saints play
The Saints play Houston.
New England this week. Oh, sorry, Houston.
Saints play Houston. Eagles play Jets. Oh.
Definitely. But yeah, D-Hop.
I think I still have to start Devontae Smith. I think I still have to do it.
You know that secondary better than anyone, you know.
Yeah. I would go Devontae Smith and Ayuk. All right, let's get back to the games here. Where were we? Chicago and Minnesota. The 1-4 Minnesota Vikings travel to Chicago to take on the 1-4 Chicago Bears. This game has a 44.5 point total, where the Chicago Bears are 2.5 point home dogs. Greg, where are you going?
Smashing the over here. I'm gonna take Chicago to cover, Chicago to win.
Yo, this is crazy. I'm trying to figure out because I made these picks last night. Like, what possessed me
to pick? Go back and forth though.
I took the over, and I took Minnesota to cover, Minnesota to win.
But I feel like it's a toss up. This game is really a toss up. 2.5 point dog means it's an even and like a neutral site.
When's the last time we saw Kirk Cousins play without Justin Jefferson?
Only for like the drives when he's in the medical tent during games. That's about it. I don't know, yo.
Yeah, this is the first time Justin Jefferson's missed a game.
So Adam Thielen, the Adam Thielen era.
Yeah, I mean Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. I mean maybe the first 2 weeks of Justin Jefferson's career. Bro, I guess we've never seen him without Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, or Stephon Diggs. Like we've never seen Kirk Cousins not since his Washington days.
Wow, Addison, baby, Addy season. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh man! All right, so let's talk about I'm sticking with my picks. So I'm taking the over, taking Minnesota to cover, Minnesota to win. Let's go with the Chicago side. Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet stay in the Flames, right?
Flames, like Hurts. I mean, Fields is gonna finish. Might be the QB1 this week with this matchup.
Yeah, and DJ Moore, obviously, he's also in a great spot here. Minnesota's been terrible against wide receivers, allowing the most PPR points to the wide receiver position over the last 3 weeks. So definitely stay in the Flames there. And then they give it up to tight ends too. Tight end, they allow the 6th most fantasy points to the tight end position. So, give me Cole Kmet as well. Roschon Johnson.
Roschon and Dante Foreman.
Deontay Foreman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's genuinely curious to see what happens here. People are of the frame of mind that Roschon has been the second running back, so he'll elevate to that starter role. But then there's also these theories going out that Deontay Foreman's been inactive because he doesn't play special teams, and the team has kept Roschon as the number 2 because they like what he can do in the pass game. And Khalil Herbert is really just like they see him as their like first and second down back. So maybe Foreman takes on that role. So honestly, like I would pick both these guys up. If I had to pick a guy, I'm Roschon, team Roschon, but it's close. And I would hedge my bet. If you couldn't get Roschon, go get Foreman.
Yeah, I'm in a league where I have Foreman, and then another league, our share league, we have Roschon. So I I think I'm with you totally on all of that.
On the Minnesota side, is Kirk Cousins still a QB1 without Justin Jefferson? This matchup here is great. Chicago allows the third most fantasy points to the quarterback position. You are unequivocally saying yes, he is. So start him up. Jordan Addison. Obviously, we've seen wide receivers come in. It's not like the running back where it's like, hey, this guy's going to come in and take all the work, right? Like we can't just apply Justin Jefferson's 30-something% target share to the next guy on the list. I do think TJ Hawkinson takes on most of that, but I think Jordan Addison does take on a decent amount to potentially finish as a wide receiver 2 this week, and what is a fantastic matchup. 11th most PPR points to the wide receiver position Chicago allows. So, are you in agreement there?
Yeah.
KJ Osborne.
I think he got to be in play with the game. Possibly, I think he is more of a Sunday morning ad. So
not with the fab I've been seeing dropped on
really?
KJ Osborne.
Really? Wow.
Not with that fab.
I think they're chasing that one game last, or the games last year when Jetta was in the medical tent or anything. Osborne would just kill, or you just have those games where he had like a lot of targets.
There's also the Roto World doing what they do, dropping that blurb like, KJ Osborne expected to take over the Justin Jefferson role. It's like
they said that.
Yes.
Dag, yo. He's 56% rostered, plus 47 this week. So yeah, he's been the hottest pickup at wide receiver. It looks like this week. That's crazy though for them to make that statement.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not dunking on Roto World. They took what a beat writer said, which is, and if you read it again, like I don't know how many people click on there and read the context, but they had the headline is like expected to take over Justin Jefferson role, and then when you read it, it's saying he's actually going to slide into
like literally in the literal position
receiver role, which is the role that Justin Jefferson plays.
The headline, is a little misleading, but yeah, they are literal in that sense. Yes, he's going to slide into his role in the offense. Into his positional role.
When I read that, I was like, all right, let me just put in a $0 bid on KJ Osborne because I'm not even gonna get him. So I was like, what's the point? If I get him for $0, great. I'm seeing $17, like $20-something. I was like, okay, have fun.
Wide receiver 3, I think.
Wide receiver 3 or 4 for me, yeah. All right, let's move on to this next game, man. The 3-2 Indianapolis Colts travel to Jacksonville to take on a 3-2 Jacksonville Jaguars, where this game has a 46-point total, and the Jags are 4-point favorites here at home. Greg, where are you going with this one?
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take New England to cover, but Jacksonville to win.
Hold up, New England? You mean Indy?
I mean, sorry, Indy. Indy to cover. Indy to cover.
That's like the second time you brought up New England in this podcast, like unprompted, bro.
I know what's wrong with me, yo.
A little nervous here.
Yeah,
no, I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Indy to cover. I'm gonna take Indy to win because Gardner Minshew is gonna be amped for this revenge game here. But in all seriousness, how do you treat Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor this week?
I think it's slowly, shifts over to JT a little bit more in this game. Full week of practice. I think if you say you have both of them, I think JT's the running back to start. I do think Zach Moss is still involved a little bit, so I think he's in that RB3 conversation, and JT's the RB2.
Yeah, I haven't flipped Zach Moss and RB2, JT and RB3. They said, the running backs coach came out and said that they're going to ramp up JT a little bit. I need to see, I need to see it at least get to 50-50 before I start predicting that it goes over on JT's side. But Zach Moss, I mean, he was dropped in some leagues. He's a popular.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
Waiver wire pickup. Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs. How do you view those guys going into this matchup against Jacksonville, who allows the ninth most PPR points to the wide receiver position over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I do like them here. Michael Pittman had a great spot last week. Didn't really come through too much. Josh Downs took advantage of that. I think both of them are, kind of in that low and wide receiver 2 area. Uh, maybe Downs having a little more upside right now, but yeah, I think they're still in that same tier.
Yeah, I think Downs probably has some more upside in PPR leagues just because he's probably the safer floor play in some of those leagues because he is going to see a lot of targets and plays a shorter area of the field. Where Pittman, I think, makes a ton of sense in half PPR, obviously, and then has that potential big play opportunity. On the Jacksonville side, I think Trevor Lawrence is in a great spot this week, probably the best spot he's been in all year against this. Well, they played Indy already.
They played week 1. Calvin Ridley was my start of the week. Trevor Lawrence was, I think, nor did one of ours, but he was definitely in a good spot. I don't think he was start of the week, but
so
yeah,
definitely
kind
a
of the
great
same
spot.
here.
Definitely a great spot for him here. Travis Etienne coming off the huge game here, got to be viewed as an RB1 in this matchup, and then Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley, wide receiver 2s. I mean, how do you rank these guys? Week to week, man. This feels like Christian Kirk, Zay Jones all over again.
Yeah, I think Christian Kirk's been very, very solid actually. Giving some consistency. I think he's been one of the most consistent wide receiver 2s all year. I think he's a solid wide receiver 2 with some wide receiver 1 upside. Calvin Ridley is, I think, a solid wide receiver 2 as well. I think Kirk has a little more upside right now.
Yeah, definitely agree. Evan Ingram, man, tight end 1 season.
Tight end 1 season, Evan Ingram. Yep.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to this next one. The 3-2 New Orleans Saints travel to Houston to take on the 2-3 Houston Texans, where this game has a 41.5 point total. I am going to take. And the New Orleans Saints are 1.5 point favorites on the road here. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take Houston to cover. I'm going to take Houston to win.
I'm going to take the under, but Houston to cover and Houston to win. Some brand new Houston Texans,
Brand new. CJ Stroud, how do you view him this week? It's a relatively tough matchup. New Orleans is 19th against the position, but Stroud obviously gets the passing volume. New Orleans is also very good against running backs and the run game in general, so it makes you think that Stroud's going to be forced to throw the ball more than the Texans even want.
Yeah, I think he still falls into a fringe QB1 week. I think 12 out of 13. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Probably, very borderline, back end QB1. Collins, he obviously had the tough matchup last week against AJ Terrell, but I think he bounces back this week as a wide receiver 2. Tank Dell left the game with a concussion last week. Don't know what his status is going into this week. But would you view him as a wide receiver 2 or 3 if he goes this week?
Yeah, more of a 3. And then I kind of would downgrade Robert Woods and Dalton Schultz, I think, for this matchup.
If Tank Dell doesn't go, does that upgrade Robert Woods for you in any way?
Yeah, it does. It does. Targets do open up for him a little more, especially for PPR leagues. I think he gets that bump.
And is there any way that you could get away from a Dameon Pierce this week, or you feel like he's somebody that you kind of just got to hold your nose and play him as an RB2?
Yeah, you're putting him in that sliding in that RB2 spot, I think, or flexing in some leagues because as we've been repeating, it's not a lot of options this week.
Yeah, I mean, all right, Tank Dell doesn't go. Let's just hypothetically, Tank Dell doesn't go. You have one flex spot, Dameon Pierce or Robert Woods.
Robert Woods.
It's really tough. In a PPR league, yeah, I think I would have to go Woods. The targets are going to be there. You don't know what he's going to do with them, but even if Dameon Pierce does get the rush attempts, like what's he going to do against New Orleans? Your only hope is that he falls in the end zone there. So, I would probably go Robert Woods there too. On the New Orleans side, Alvin Kamara back to an RB1. Michael Thomas and Chris Olave, we talked about, the Houston Texans defense probably going to have both the guys as like wide receiver 3s this week. The Houston Texans, over the last 3 weeks, allowed the 30th most PPR points to the quarterback position or the wide receiver position. There's only 32 teams in the league, so 30 is not very good. So yeah, those guys are going to be wide receiver 3s for me this week.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to this last 1 p.m. game that we're going to cover today, the 3-1 Seattle Seahawks traveling to Cincinnati to take on the 2-3 red hot Cincinnati Bengals. This game has a 46-point total, where the Cincinnati Bengals are 2.5-point favorites. Greg, where are you leaning with this one here?
I'm taking the over. I'm taking Cincy to cover, Cincy to win. Seems like it at some point it comes, man. Cincy just goes on a run when they just are going to start winning games, and they're going to be right back in that AFC North battle. AFC North battle. I think they're still a favorite to win this division.
Yeah, man. I'm also with you. I'm taking the over, taking Cincy to cover, Cincy to win. I was humbled last week. I thought Cincy would lose to Arizona. That did not happen. So in this matchup here, Jamar Chase got to be a wide receiver 1. I mean, went nuclear last week. T. Higgins, if he goes, which we already talked about it a little bit. I don't think he does, but if he does go, gonna have him, as like a wide receiver 3. There's always the risk for re-injury with the ribs.
Sure.
So it's gonna be tough, but I think if he's active, you just hold your nose and play him.
Yeah, it's tough, man. The ribs is really tough. You're gonna get hit there every single play, every play.
Yeah. And then you got to run and like breathe and
breathe and reach up. He's a reach up. He's like, nah, man, reaching up. Just thinking of that, it hurts.
Joe Mixon also in a very good spot here against Seattle. I mean, he's been getting some really good volume. Seattle, they're middle of the pack against the running back position over the last 3 weeks, but I think the volume here should lead to a good fantasy day. Anybody else on the Cincy side that you want to play? Are you interested in playing a Trenton Irwin if T. Higgins doesn't go?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
On the Seattle side, Geno Smith, we both took the over in this one. I do have him down projection-wise as a QB2, but if this game goes over, could very much fall in the QB1 territory. Are you willing to play him in this matchup here against Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think I am as well. He has some QB1 upside. This game kind of shoots out kind of how the Detroit game did.
Yeah, agreed there. And then DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, probably gonna have them both as wide receiver 2s. One could finish as a 1, one could finish as a 3, but I think ranking wise, probably gonna have to fit them both here as wide receiver 2s.
Yeah, that's been the entire Lockett Metcalf era, I think. That assessment.
Bro, it's funny because I say this every year. It's like we come on the show and it's like, who would you rather have, Metcalf or Tyler Lockett? We come here every week. Who would you rather play, Metcalf or Lockett? And by the end of the season, you look up and they have pretty much the same stat line. It's just Lockett might have like 6 or 7 more catches. And it's just like, what were we doing all this for? When they're like, at the end of the day, they're going to finish the same player. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Noah Fant, we talked about him in the streaming section. I think he has some tight end 1 upside. Kenneth Walker, RB2 in this matchup here against
strong RB2. Yeah,
strong RB2 here against Cincinnati. I mean, both these teams are middle of the road against the running back position. There. Anything else you want to add on this game, Greg?
No. Joe Shiesty, man. Let's go. He got dropped in our league. I just want to point that out. That's crazy.
Crazy. After the game, after the big game. Crazy. I do want to add Charbonnet coming off by. Maybe somebody dropped him. Just saying, his workload was increasing the last few weeks. So definitely somebody you might want to scoop up because he's got a high value role here if, God forbid anything happens to Kenneth Walker. Anything you want to add in general, Greg, before we close this one out?
No, excited for the game tomorrow night. Hopefully it's a good one. Yeah, not much.
And we will be back here tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time, to break down the rest of the games give out our starts of the week, and hopefully, just hopefully, I can get a win against Greg and get money, man, because I cannot keep going on this losing streak, man. I really can't.
Yeah. Hopefully, we see no more injury news. Hope they stay quiet for a little bit. We took a big hit the last couple of days.
Did take a big hit the last couple of days. I mean, I have a dynasty team that's just kind of been going through it, and I'm trying to plug away, man. But in a dynasty league, it's hard to keep your head up, bro. It really is. It really is. Anyways, y'all, I gotta stop thinking negatively. Gotta think positively. Positive mindset. Positive vibes only here. Until next time, which will be tomorrow. We'll catch y'all then. Have a good one, and we're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.